Hi, Randy Crabtree here. Before we start today's episode, I just wanted to give you a quick update. The Bridging the Gap conference is coming up soon, July 22nd, 23rd, and 24th in Rosemont, Illinois. I want to thank our sponsors, our diamond sponsor, which is FreshBooks, and our platinum sponsors, RateWorks and Intuit. We couldn't do this conference without their support, so I want to thank them tremendously. And ask you to go visit their websites so you can get more information and help us support them. And now on to the episode.
Hello and welcome to the Unique CPA with special host Robb Brown of the Accounting Influencers podcast. In this series of bonus Friday episodes, Robb will be interviewing major voices in the accounting profession that will be appearing at the Bridging the Gap Conference 2024, scheduled for July 22nd to 24th in Rosemont, Illinois. We thank Robb for his collaboration and hope you enjoy the show.
Hey, Robb Brown here, host of the Accounting Influencers podcast, doing another in a series of interviews with the incredible speaker roster at Bridging the Gap 2024. This is Randy Crabtree and his Tri-Merit team running this event. Again, it's turned from a virtual event to a very impressive in-person event, and it's really, really special. And to commemorate this, I've been interviewing the speakers that are gracing the stage here. These people have prime podium time to share with you their insights, their motivation, their inspiration. I've got with me Robb and Kasidy. They're going to introduce themselves in just a moment, talk about what they will be presenting at the event, why it's so special for them, and why really you should go. So Robb, let's start with you. For people that haven't come across you, tell us a bit about you and your world.
Yeah, I'm Robb Zbierski. It's a fun last name. I'm a professional speaker and personal coach with Freedom Personal Development. Our company's been around a couple decades now, and I specialize in helping people learn how to get and keep their head on straight. So we do all kinds of personal and professional development programming and coaching. Basically, I tell people I take the concepts that get a ton of lip service at events like Bridging the Gap, and I help people learn how to actually implement them in a way that works for them. Right. So we're going to talk about attitude and goal setting and time management and focus and positivity and that stuff that, like I said, just there's usually a guy older than me and whiter than me up on stage preaching why you should do this. And most people just kind of like, yeah, whatever. But we tend to do a really good job of helping people go, okay, wait a minute, this stuff works. It works now, and I can make it work on an ongoing basis. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kasidy, for giving us a little bit of diversity on this little interview, because Robb and I are a little bit older, and so you're ticking a few boxes, if I may say that. It's lovely to have you with us. Tell us a bit about you and your world.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys. And actually, Robb with two B's. I am more on that end of things as well. I run a company called Marina Bay Yoga. What started for me as like a little side passion project, just seeing clients here and there, has turned into this really incredible thing where I get to go and help coordinate and run wellness rooms at retreats, conferences, and help the corporate world really relax and learn practical tools for the day-to-day life of living more peaceful. It's something that everybody talks about. Everybody wants to be less stressed. And so my role is to help people actually do that while we're together, but then also know how to implement those tools throughout their life so that you can have better relationships, you can love your job longer, all that good stuff. So I'm really excited to be with you guys again this year.
Well, we're showcasing the event, but it seems that none of us are accountants, if I've read that right. I'm a former high school math teacher. Robb's a motivational coach. You're a yoga instructor. So, but the wonderful thing about this is that accountants, I guess, like many professions that you both work with, are typical in that they overwork themselves. They've got too much to do. They've got a lot of demands on their time. And Robb, speaking to accountants, is it much the same as any other audience, or is there any difference to these guys?
You know, there's a lot of similarities. I mean, as functional human beings, we all have unhelpful default settings around negativity, urgency, and complacency. How they show up is maybe a little bit different based on what your profession is. But with accountants specifically, there's a book written by a friend of mine called Entrepreneurial DNA. The only difference is that accountants are hyper loyal, and they're hyper specialized in what they do, which is some of their amazing strong suits. But then as it relates to living life with these unhelpful default settings, it's showing up in the way, distractibility is a big one that comes. I mean, it comes up universally, and just the idea of bouncing from client to client and return to return and project to project. We see that show up, and it's exhausting. You know, folks we work with, we seem to spend all their best energy on the things that matter the least, which for a lot of folks is just getting and staying on track in their day to day.
Yeah, and Kasidy, it's wonderful that we can bring to this audience of super technically smart professionals diverse input from the outside, and you both are on the outside in a wonderful way. Wellness gets such a lot of hype up, such a lot of talk, mental health, mental well-being, mental resilience, the overwork of accounting people like them. And it's really refreshing to have Randy put you on the roster to come and speak about this. And you must be excited too to get an audience like this who really need it.
I absolutely love it. I was there last year, and I will tell you, I still get messages from people
Wow.
constantly about the experience that they had. And actually, I love the descriptor of loyal because that's so true. I think the thing that stands out to me most about working with accountants and even the team of people who are putting this together is the loyalty and getting to see when the switch happens. And I got to see this last year, and then again, I've talked to many of these people, and so getting to see the switch when the loyalty to the mission and the vision is integrated into loyalty for themselves and really prioritizing who they are as an individual. It's really special to get to see. And like I said, it's like now I'm seeing it over time. And as people are implementing these things, it's not just like a one-off. It's not just like, okay, here's the tool, do it today, and then never use it again. Just last week, one of the girls that I met at the conference said that she implemented something that she learned in one of our sessions, and her whole team does it now. And so it's like, this is the impact that is possible when it's bite-sized, when it's practical. So it's very cool, very exciting.
Yeah. And Rob, if there's one thing accountants don't need, it's how to do a spreadsheet. They need life hacks. They need productivity tips. They need wellness advice. They need to learn how to be humans again. And to Kasidy's point, self-care becomes really, really important. So you're going to be speaking into that a little bit, aren't you?
A little bit, yeah. Just really understanding, paying attention to what you're focused on and how that shows up in your day to day. It's one thing you'll hear me talk about is it's always fascinating to me that the people who complain a lot always find plenty to complain about, and then the people who are living the charmed life always have a lot of really great, exciting things happening for them. It's fascinating. What you see is what you look for. So yeah, we'll be talking a lot about paying better attention to the things that you're looking for, that kind of training yourself to be looking to choosing to see the good, choosing to see the good in people, choosing to see the good in adversity. I was at a graduation for my nephew yesterday, and the keynote speaker talked about, shifting your mindset from things you have to do, instead of that, looking at things you get to do. And so it's just little mindset shifts like that that have a ripple effect on, just like Kasidy said, on business, on relationships, on income, on physical fitness, on health, on wellness. It's all, the wellness bone is connected to the income bone, is connected to the relationship bone in my world.
It's very holistic, isn't it? It's lovely to hear that. And accountants are so head down in the moment at the behest of their clients and their managers, their bosses, their partners, and they often don't lift their head up to see the sky and the trees and to see the opportunities and to recalibrate their mind. And I guess mind and body is a really important connection for you, Kasidy, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. My personal story, I got into this because at 25, which is way too young, I was in a state of burnout and had to be hospitalized. And so I see these young accountants, and then I see those who are a bit more aged in their accounting life. And I think, how have they made it this far? So one of the big things that we work on is moving from that place of just spinning in their own mind to reconnecting to their bodies, when they can, for even just 5 minutes, get out of the rat race, right? The hamster wheel, that feeling, and not just wait for a vacation to de stress, but to know how to calm the nervous system, to know how to self regulate. The work actually gets better, but also the experience is better so they can do it for longer. And I don't want to pick on accountants because, although, yes, it is, of course, an accounting conference, this is true for so many of us. And I think the unique thing is the pressure that so many accountants feel. And so it's especially important that they know how to connect with their bodies, that they're remembering to pause and eat lunch, that they're remembering to go to the bathroom. This is one of the most important things about them in their jobs, is just taking the time for themselves.
You just reminded me too, Cassidy, that whilst we talk about accountants as a breed, a lot of these are entrepreneurs, they're business owners, they're running their own ship, they're employing people, they're bosses, they're managers. And there's not just their own care to think about, but a whole team that they might be looking after. So let me ask you both, and I'll start with you, Kasidy, on this. What will you be talking about precisely, and what will be the key takeaways for people in the audience?
Yeah, so during this session, so I'm doing two things there. I'll be
Right.
speaking during the session, but then we'll also have the wellness room. So specifically what I'm going to be sharing during our main session is going to be very experiential. So I'm the experience person. I will come in and make people stand up and sit down and twirl around. It'll be all beginner friendly, so you don't have to wear any special yoga gear. You can come in your normal attire that you would feel comfortable going to a conference in, and we'll do some light stretching. I'll introduce breath work. So just again, some tools that they can use even at their desk. Then I'll be able to give them just some really practical takeaways for the rest of the conference, some things that they can do throughout the conference to make sure that they're staying refreshed, focused, hydrated, all that good stuff, and then things that they can take back into their daily life.
That sounds great. And Rob, hopefully you've got your leotard ready. You'll be all good to go there with your lycra.
I
That's
might be
right.
wearing it right. I might be wearing it right now, but that's another conversation.
Stand up, prove it.
So Rob,
I went for my bike ride this morning. I have logged my lycra time for the day, so it's good.
Excellent. So tell us what your session will be, Robert, and what are people going to take away from that?
Definitely, yeah. So we're going to do a program called Train Your Brain for Success, which even if you'd never heard about the program, the title in of itself really sums up what it's all about. We are going to talk specifically about understanding the importance of taking a more active role in managing your mind and your thoughts in a way that's going to help you get the best results possible, which sounds really sexy from like a big 30,000-foot view. But for most of our folks, what that means is making more money, right? Understanding how to control and manage your mindset so that you can be more successful in what you do financially and professionally. We're going to talk about upping your involvement in your relationships, right? How do you take this concept of paying attention to what you're thinking about and apply it to your relationships, to your physical fitness, to your health, like all the holistic thing we talked about earlier. So we're going to talk about understanding like how your mind creates your life, right? We're going to talk about a couple specific mechanisms by which your thinking, your attitude, your approach, your mindset, your focus just really help folks understand the role that those mental factors play in creating the results that they get every day, whether it's positive or it's negative. And then we're gonna kind of switch gears a little bit, and we're gonna talk about, you heard me say earlier, these unhelpful default settings. Basically, as human beings, our brains are hardwired to focus on some version of negativity, urgency, and or complacency. So we're going to kind of dive in, break that down, help folks really understand where either consciously or unconsciously some of these things may have been holding them back in their day-to-day. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to tease everybody by walking away right after we talk about how the brains are hardwired to screw them. And then we're actually going to talk about, we're going to introduce 4 strategies, things that we work on with our clients that are proven to get your brain working for you instead of against you. So everyone's basically going to walk out of there with a game plan on how to take that more active role in managing their mind and their thoughts so they can really just up their game in every aspect of their life.
Wow. It sounds like it's going to be an amazing experience. Randy's not flying me over business class to come and be with you guys, so I'm going to be admiring you from afar and maybe doing some interviews afterwards to see how it went. But just in closing, Kasidy, what would you say to people that are on the fence watching this video, seeing a little bit of the promotion? It sounds exciting for them, but it may involve some travel, or they've got to give up something to be there, and so they're not sure whether they should go or not. What would be your final thoughts to them, and what is exciting you about being there?
I've never been to a work conference that people are still talking about a year later about how much fun they had. Of course, you're going to learn things. Of course, you're going to get your credits for things. That's all going to happen. You're going to network. But for people to still be so excited about how much fun a conference is, I mean, really a testament to what this crew has put together. So personally, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to having a blast with everyone. The wellness room is going to be absolutely incredible again. And so getting to host and really have those experiential moments with people, there's a lot that can be done virtually. And I'm so grateful. We can do so much virtually now, but there is something about being in the room with people, and not to get too woo-woo on everybody, but to actually experience the energy, the attitude when you're face to face, to see other people smile, to hug your friends that you have in the industry. There's something about that, to know that you're all in this together. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are in this room. And so to remember that you're in this together and that you have people running this race with you is really powerful. So I'm excited.
Well, Rob, you're a man that's not short of energy. What would you say to people that are still umming and ahhing, as we say in the United Kingdom, and that they really should go because this sounds fun, this sounds memorable? What would be your message to them?
Yeah, you should totally go. Now, here's what's going on. Cassie, I'm going to piggyback on what you said. The reason that people are able to talk about events like this 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road is because people that go to these things experience a mental breakthrough. And when it comes, and that's why these things get put on. That's why we are even on Ehrman and on, and do we even do this? Because we know that deep down, we want to make and need to make a mental breakthrough, right? It's the cheesy, if you always do what you've always done, you always get what you've always got, right? To get exponentially better results, you have to create a mental breakthrough. In order to do that, there's 3 things you got to get. You got to get help, you got to get invested, and you got to get away. And I think the Bridging the Gap conference addresses all 3 of those in an amazing way. You're going to get help from literally world-class speakers. I'm going to take myself out of the equation. Just hearing from Kasidy, and I know the other folks are on the roster. All right, I'm putting myself back in the equation. You are getting world-class content, interaction, engagement from people who literally, this is what we do for a living, is help people get where they want to go. So the lineup in and of itself is worth the investment. Get invested, right? You got to invest. Yeah, you got to have skin in the game, right? You're not going to, if you show up for something, your boss pays for it, you're not going to get as much out of it. If your boss offers to pay for it, make sure you give him at least $50 or her $50. You got to invest your money and your time. You got to make an investment of your time. That is our most valuable asset. Time is like toilet paper, right? It feels like it doesn't go really fast until you get to the end of the roll. Then it goes real fast. And when it's gone, it's gone. You don't get that, and you don't want to use that again. And then you got to get away, right? I don't know if you're not coming, man. If you can't get excited about being in Chicago in July, we got bigger issues that we got to talk about. Man, this is one of the greatest cities in the world. It's one of the greatest eating cities in the world. So get on over here to the Midwest. O'Hare's right, literally down the street from where we're having this thing. I can't wait to be there. I'm looking forward to sharing the energy with everybody there.
I have been to Chicago. It is a marvelous place. And finally, I just want to ask you both. You've been to many conferences. You're not just imparting wisdom and experiences and lifelong learning yourself, but you are learners. You soak up information. You are out there looking for the very best stuff that works. So what final tip would you give to people to get the most from events like this? Because it can be overload. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to take in. And when they get back to the office, their inbox is full and the voicemail is full and it's back to business as usual. So they just feel that overwhelm again. So Kasidy, from you first, what would be your biggest tip to get the most from events like this?
Take action. Even if it is just one thing that you can do when you leave the conference, take action. Write down one thing. A lot of times what happens is there's so much information and you have this big plan. It's like January 1st, you have this big plan of all these things you're going to do.
Great intentions, right?
Exactly. Great intentions. And you get back to real life and the kids are crying and the wife or husband needs this thing and there's a ton of demands and the to-do list is long. And so find the one thing that's most important to you and do it. And try to do it literally within 24 hours. This pressure on yourself, this good pressure to actually implement it is so helpful to take you out of the pinball brain, is what I call it, when you just go back and forth overthinking things. So get into action, and I know that you will see results from the conference.
That's great. Rob, what about you? Top tip for getting the most from events like this?
Yeah, I had to look for 1 to 2 things. So I'm gonna piggyback on what Cassie said. I guess what I'll share then is pay attention to your teachability index as you show up. You want to pay attention to 2 factors that make up this score. It's your desire to learn, which I'm confident anyone that steps foot in that ballroom has got a pretty high desire to learn because they're there. Where it gets fun though is you take your desire to learn and you want to multiply that by your willingness to change. You heard me say earlier, a lot of people get stuck in conscious and unconscious ruts or comfort zones. Pay attention, be willing to change how you're going about thinking about things. Be willing to change how your willingness about how you go about doing things. We have this thing we call the winning edge theory, which states that a small change at the right time has a massive impact on the end result. So if you can find that one thing you're gonna do a little bit different, I virtually guarantee it's gonna have a massive impact on the rest of your career.
That's great. Rob, Kasidy, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, your wisdom, your passion and your insights. And we will all look forward to seeing you in action at Bridging the Gap 2024 Chicago in July.
Thank you for joining us today on the Unique CPA. You can find the show notes for today's episode and learn more about TriMerit at theuniquecpa.com. Remember to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating on your favorite podcasting app. And join us next time for more expertise and insights on the Unique CPA. Professionalproductions.net